Hi, I'm Shoshana Landis, and my speech is on PTSD, or post-traumatic stress disorder, as it's more commonly known. And what is PTSD? Well, it is a mental health condition or disorder that's triggered by a terrifying event after basically experiencing it yourself or witnessing it by viewing it, seeing it, that sort of thing. That's from Mayo Clinic, had given that definition. It was thought that if you experienced something traumatic in your life or something very detrimental, that you would eventually get over it. And most people do, but there are some that stays with them for a very long time, just because of their sensitivity to it, or because of what exactly happened, And so it may take months or years for this event to for them to be healed from it. Some don't ever really get healed from it. It stays with them. It might be compounded by other things, by more events, or something of that nature. Symptoms of PTSD can include nightmares. That's a big one. Flashbacks of the event. Severe anxiety, that's another one. And then uncontrollable thoughts about the event. They either focus on it uncontrollably, of course, or they become numb to it. They try to shut it out and pretend like it never happened, and basically they're shutting out a part of their feelings about the event too, which shuts down their other feelings about life in general, and that can lead to depression and other issues. And they can, in the process of this, because they can't control the event, they were not able to control it, of course. It was out of their control. There can be outbursts of anger, a lot of anger. That's kind of uncontrolled and that sort of thing, because they weren't able to control that situation, so their anger is boiling kind of under the surface, or what have you. They feel like they have a loss of themselves, a loss of who they could have been in that circumstance and what they should have done, and probably there was no way they could have done anything in that circumstance. They have trouble sleeping, and the nightmares come in. They have a hard time falling asleep and then staying asleep, and they can become easily startled or frightened, and that can be because of a loud noise or somebody coming up behind them suddenly, that sort of thing. And PTSD does not just affect like our military, which have finally gotten some mental health counseling and that sort of thing for this condition, PTSD, but it's finally been recognized. But also it can affect children, people who have suffered from a rape or a beating of some kind. It can affect anybody at any time. It doesn't have to, it can be viewed again. It can be something that somebody's seen. William Dorgan, from one of the articles that I read, had said that he was talking about doing business with people and being gentle with them, especially during the holidays when stress levels are very high, and that you don't know who you're dealing with, if they might be sufferers of PTSD, and you don't know if you might get PTSD in the future because of something that may happen to you. I thought that was really good advice, and very conscientious of your human man, your fellow man. Also, he said that the telltale signs of PTSD may linger for months or even years, and that's correct. Sometimes, like I said, even longer, depending. And then God says this: don't use foul or abusive language. Let everything you say be good and helpful, so that your words be an encouragement to those you hear them. Ephesians 4:29. So what do you do if you suspect anybody of having PTSD, especially someone close to you? Well, Mayo Clinic again offered these suggestions, which I thought were really good. especially about suicidal thoughts, because that can happen as well. You feel alone and isolated, and you feel like nobody can help you, and that's not true. Reach out to a close friend or loved one. That's number one. Number two was contact a minister, a spiritual leader in your community. I thought that was really good especially for Mayo. Three was call a suicide hotline number, and they gave that suicide hotline number. And then the fourth one was make an appointment with your doctor to get some kind of help and direction in that area. So I thought those were really good steps to take, and I thought that was a good place to start for someone who doesn't know what to do. And there is help out there. You're not alone. No one is alone. Do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord will personally go ahead of you. He will be with you. He will neither fail you nor abandon you. Deuteronomy 31:8. So no one's alone in this situation. Don't feel like you have to survive this or deal with it all by yourself. I think those were good. That's what I came up with, surmising from this whole ordeal, this whole situation of finding out about PTSD. So thank you so much for being with me, and I appreciate your comments and feedback. Take care. Bye-bye.